Have you ever had a moment in your life where everything changed? A single decision or event that completely shifted the course of your life, and you never saw it coming? There are moments in life when the smallest things seem to have the power to turn everything upside down. Have you ever found yourself in one of those moments where you look back and realize that nothing was ever going to be the same again? The moment everything changed is a story that will make you question how quickly life can shift from normal to unimaginable. One moment, everything is calm, predictable, and within your control, and then in an instant, everything flips upside down. What happens when your world is suddenly shaken and you're forced to confront something you never saw coming? In today's story, we'll dive into that pivotal moment when everything changed, forever altering the course of someone's life. Stay tuned, because what comes next will leave you speechless. Life is filled with both planned and unplanned moments of change. These moments could be big or small, but they often come when we least expect them. Life doesn't always give us a warning when change is coming. It's like you're on a straight path, everything's going fine, and then boom, a sudden twist. Sometimes, change can be triggered by something as simple as a phone call or a decision that felt minor in the moment. Maybe it's a phone call you didn't expect to get, or an accident that seemed like a minor inconvenience at the time. Or perhaps it's a decision you made that didn't seem so significant, but in hindsight, it was a turning point in everything that came after. It could be something as small as a chance encounter, or as big as an event that shatters everything you thought you knew. No matter the scale, these moments have a lasting impact. You might not realize at the time, but sometimes it's the smallest moments that have the most power. Think about it. What was the moment in your life when you first realized things weren't going to stay the same? Maybe it's still fresh in your memory, or maybe you've only just started to see how it's changed everything for you. Today, I'm going to share with you how those moments, no matter how small or sudden, shape the course of our lives, how we can recognize them, how we can learn from them, and most importantly, how we can move forward when everything changes. Acknowledge that change is inevitable, and it can occur through both small and large events. Reflect on how many of us experience these changes, but may not recognize their significance until much later. These moments could be as small as a phone call or a decision made without knowing its impact. When we think about life-changing moments, we often picture dramatic scenes, loud events, sudden accidents, or major decisions that shift the direction of our lives. But what if I told you that some of the most powerful moments of change don't come with fireworks or applause? In fact, they might be some of the quietest moments you'll ever experience. A turning point is defined as a moment in time when something inside or outside of us shifts so significantly that it marks the beginning of a new direction. It's when we realize that life, as we knew it, will never be quite the same. And while these moments can be profound and life-altering, they don't always scream for attention. We often associate turning points with loud, visible events. A sudden car accident, a major career change, or a public event like winning an award. These moments are important, but they're not the only turning points we experience. Sometimes, a turning point happens in the silence of your own heart. It could be a moment of realization when you're sitting alone, reflecting on your life, and suddenly you understand something about yourself or your path that changes everything. Imagine you're going through a difficult time in life. You might be facing a personal struggle, whether it's a loss, a challenge, or a decision that weighs heavily on you. And in that moment, there's no loud warning, no dramatic scene, but something inside you shifts. You realize, I can't keep going down the same path. I need to make a change. Maybe it's a moment when you realize your values have shifted, or when you feel a new sense of purpose awakening within you. This change might not come with applause, but its impact to be just as significant as any loud, dramatic event. Not all life-changing moments come from external events. Some of the most transformative moments happen inside us, in the quiet, personal reflections or decisions that often go unnoticed by the outside world. It's not always the dramatic events or the big, visible changes that truly shape our lives. Instead, the most profound changes often come from. These are those moments when you suddenly understand something new about yourself. Maybe you realize a personal strength you never recognized before, or you acknowledge a weakness you need to work on. These realizations can completely reshape the way you view your world and your place in it. Epiphanies are moments of sudden insight that bring clarity to situations you've been struggling with. It might be as simple as understanding your own emotions more deeply, or as profound as seeing your future in a new light. These moments often come without warning, like a sudden flash of understanding that redefines your life's trajectory. Often, it's the smaller decisions we make that lead to the biggest changes. Deciding to speak up for yourself, choosing to forgive someone, or deciding to change your routine can all trigger a series of events that alter the course of your life. Think about the last time you experienced a change in your perspective. Maybe you were sitting alone, reflecting on your past or thinking about your future, and in that quiet moment, you felt a shift in your heart. You may have realized that your relationships weren't as fulfilling as they once were, or that you've been holding on to something unhealthy for far too long. This realization may not have been loud, but it was powerful. It's in moments like these that we make decisions that guide us toward a healthier, more fulfilling life. It could have been the decision to walk away from a toxic relationship, or to change your mindset about your own worth. In a world that often celebrates the loud, bold moments, we can easily overlook the quiet turning points that happen within ourselves. But those moments are just as important, if not more so, because they come from a place of personal growth and introspection. When we experience a shift in our thoughts or values, it often results in a longer-lasting transformation because it's grounded in our own self-awareness. These quiet moments might not get attention from others, but they could be the foundation for lasting change. While external events can sometimes be out of our control, the internal changes are often something we have the power to influence. We can choose to reflect, question, and challenge our own thinking, leading to powerful growth that changes our life direction. The shift we feel in our hearts or minds doesn't always come with a loud proclamation, but it's just as real and transformative. Often, this is where the most profound moments of change happen. The beauty of internal changes is that they don't require validation from anyone else. You may be the only person who notices, but the change that occurs inside you can set the foundation for everything that comes next in your life. Like the ripple effect in water, the smallest internal changes can spread out and affect many aspects of your life. A single change in mindset can transform your relationships, career, and personal happiness. To truly understand the moment everything changes, we must realize that not every turning point is loud or dramatic. The moments that change us often come quietly, in small decisions, realizations, and shifts in our hearts and minds. And while they may seem subtle at first, these changes hold the potential to shape our future in ways we never imagined. We all have these moments in our lives. It's up to us to recognize them, embrace them, and understand that they can lead us to a better version of ourselves. We've all had those moments, those heavy seconds when the air feels different. It could be standing in a hospital hallway, waiting for news. It could be seeing a message on your phone that makes your heart stop. Or maybe it's the first time you lock eyes with someone and feel something shift inside. That question, "Is this it?" echoes in your chest. You feel it, a quiet knowing that life won't go back to how it was before. But here's the thing, how many of those moments have you truly acknowledged? Most people are so caught up in the rush of life that they don't even pause to realize they're standing at the edge of change. We're busy surviving, making it through the day, distracted by routine. But when you look back, aren't those the very moments that defined who you became? What was that moment for you? Did you recognize it when it came, or only in hindsight? When life puts a major decision in front of us, maybe to stay or leave, to speak up or stay silent, to forgive or hold on, we often freeze. Not because we don't know what to do, but because the weight of what's at stake feels so overwhelming. Some of us choose safety. We resist the unknown because it feels more comfortable to stay where we are, even if that place is hurting us. Others take the leap, not because they're fearless, but because they're tired of the pain that comes with staying the same. But here's the truth. Every big change comes with fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of letting go. Still, that moment, the moment of decision, is powerful. It's like standing at a crossroads where your next step determines the direction of your life. That's not something to take lightly. When the moment came, did you choose courage or comfort? Did you walk toward healing or stay where it hurt just because it was familiar? Let's not judge ourselves. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness. because the more we understand our patterns, the more power we gain to make better choices when the next moment comes. Now, this one might be the most humbling of all. We often expect life-changing moments to come with drama, a big announcement, a breaking point, a loud goodbye. But what if some of the most profound shifts in our lives happen quietly? A casual conversation with a stranger that plants a seed in our mind. A job we didn't get, which led us down a better path. A simple decision to say yes when we normally say no. We don't always notice these moments when they're happening. They seem ordinary, unimportant. But later, looking back, we realize that moment, that was it. That was when everything started to change. That's what makes this question so powerful. It reminds us to stay present, to pay attention, to treat even the smallest moments with intention, because we never know which one will be the pivot. Could it be that right now, as you're watching this, you're living in a moment you'll look back on and say, that was when it all began? Take a moment, breathe, think about your life, the joy, the pain, the people who came, the ones who left, the times you stood at the edge of something bigger than yourself. Now, ask yourself these questions, not to judge the past, but to understand it, not to dwell, but to grow. Because the more we understand our defining moments, the more intentional we become in creating the life we truly want. Life is made up of moments. Most pass quietly, uneventful, almost forgettable. But every now and then, a moment appears that shifts everything. And whether we recognize it immediately or only in hindsight, that moment becomes a dividing line. Who we were before and who we become after. In the blink of an eye, that one moment could be the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to evolve into someone you never thought you could be. Have you ever looked back on your life and thought, that moment changed me? I wasn't the same after that. That's what we mean by impact on identity. These moments are more than just events. They leave fingerprints on who we are. They shift our values, test our beliefs, and force us to look at ourselves differently. Sometimes, it's the loss of someone we love. Other times, it's a life-changing opportunity, or even a mistake that humbled us. What's important to understand is this. These moments give us a chance to rebuild our identity with more depth, honesty, and strength. They challenge us to grow beyond the version of ourselves we thought was permanent. And growth doesn't always come from comfort. In fact, the most meaningful change often comes from discomfort. At the time, these moments may seem painful or confusing, but they often lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves. It's natural to resist change when it comes with pain. Who wouldn't? When we lose something or someone, face rejection, or feel like we failed, it hurts. But those painful moments, they're often the ones that stretch us the most. Why? Because they strip away the noise. They confront us with who we really are, our fears, our strengths, our values. And in that quiet confrontation, we grow. You may not see it immediately. Most people don't. But months or years later, you'll realize, I became stronger, wiser, more grounded because of that very moment I once wanted to escape from. The truth is, we can't always control the moments that change us, but we can choose how we respond to them. We can reflect, grow, and allow those experiences to shape us into more aware, empathetic, and grounded people. These moments, whether they come in the form of joy, loss, opportunity, or hardship, they matter deeply. They are not just interruptions to our plans. They are invitations. Invitations to pause, to learn, to evolve, and maybe, just maybe, to become the version of ourselves we were always meant to be. Sometimes, the most life-changing moments don't come with a warning. They don't always arrive with thunder, applause, or a big announcement. They can happen quietly, in the middle of an ordinary day, when we least expect it. But what makes these moments unforgettable is what they lead to, what they become, how they shape a person's future, or even the world. Take Steve Jobs, for example. At just 19, he made a decision that many people at the time thought was foolish. He dropped out of college. Not because he wasn't smart, not because he didn't care, but because he wanted something different. It may have looked like a setback, but in truth, that moment changed everything. It gave him the space to explore creativity. It led him to build Apple, a company that would change the way the world communicates, works, and even dreams. Now imagine if he hadn't taken that step. Would we have the iPhone, the iPad, the world as we know it today? That moment of uncertainty became a foundation for global innovation. Another example, humble yet powerful, was a decision Rosa Parks made in 1955. She was tired from work, yes, but also tired of being treated unfairly because of the color of her skin. And when she refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus, it seemed like a small act of many. But that quiet defiance, it sparked the entire civil rights movement in the United States. A nation watched, a people rose, and change began. That one moment, rooted in courage and calm, rewrote the future for millions. Not with violence, not with noise, but with a choice. But it's not just world leaders or inventors who have these turning points. Sometimes, the biggest shifts come from people just like you and me. A mother deciding to walk away from a toxic relationship to protect her child. A young man choosing to leave his hometown to chase a dream in a new city. A girl saying yes to a strange opportunity that didn't make sense at the time, but turned out to be a calling. These are ordinary decisions with extraordinary outcomes. So now I ask you this. Can you remember a moment in your life when everything changed? Was it when someone walked into or out of your life? Was it when you made a scary decision that led to a new beginning? Or maybe you're living that moment right now and you just haven't realized how powerful it is yet. Life often brings us to crossroads, and at those intersections we're given a choice. The path we take may seem small today, but down the road, it might just be the moment that changes everything. You see, we all carry these moments within us. Some we celebrate, some we regret, but each of them teaches us, shapes us, moves us closer to who we're meant to be. So whether you're in the middle of your moment or looking back at it, know this, you're not alone. We've all been there, and every single one of us has a story worth telling. Maybe this video, this very second, is your own moment of change, a spark, a whisper, a turning point waiting to begin. Have you ever felt that tight knot in your stomach right before something new begins? Maybe it's starting a new job, moving to a new city, ending a relationship, or even hearing words like, "We need to talk." That feeling, that uncertainty, is fear, and it often shows up when life is about to change. Let's be honest, change is not always welcome. Even when we know it's the best, even when we're the ones who ask for it, change can still feel like stepping into the dark. Why? Because change means letting go of what we know, and that's scary. The routines we've built, the identities we've worn, the comfort we've created, all of that is familiar. And as humans, we cling to the familiar. It makes us feel safe. So when something shifts, when a job ends, a door closes, or life throws a curveball, it feels like the ground is moving beneath our feet. Why change feels scary? Uncertainty. We don't know what's coming next. Will things get better or worse? Loss of control. Change reminds us that we can't control everything. Fear of failure. What if the new path doesn't work out? What if we're not good enough? Fear of losing identity. Who am I if I'm no longer in that role, relationship, or place? Comfort in the known. Even if our current situation isn't ideal, we know how to survive in it. The unknown? That's harder. Change isn't always welcome. It brings uncertainty, the unknown, and that can be terrifying. But without it, we'd never grow. It's okay to feel fear. But what if fear wasn't a warning to run away, but a signal that something meaningful is about to happen? Because here's the truth. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. The most powerful changes in your life often begin with the most uncomfortable feelings. That awkwardness, that pain, that resistance, it's all part of transformation. Just like a seed must break before it becomes a tree, or a caterpillar must struggle inside its cocoon to become a butterfly. You, too, must go through some discomfort to reach your next level. Now, let's talk gently about how to face change instead of running from it. Fear is normal. Don't shame yourself for feeling it. Name it. Talk about it. Write it down. Fear loses its power when you face it with honesty. I'm scared because I don't know what will happen next. That's okay. Start there. You don't have to jump off a cliff. You just need to take one small step today. One conversation. One decision. one act of courage. Small, consistent steps build confidence. You can't control everything about change, but you can control how you prepare, how you speak to yourself, how you respond to setbacks. That's where your power is. What's more painful, changing or staying exactly where I am forever? That question often reveals more than we expect. Embrace the discomfort. It's a sign that something bigger is happening. Yes, that uneasy feeling means you're growing. That pressure, that stretching, that uncertainty, that's the evidence that you're not stuck. You're evolving, just like when your muscles ache after a workout. Discomfort during change is a sign that something is being built, not broken. Change is often the catalyst for new opportunities. The very thing you fear could be the doorway to the life you've always wanted, a new career, a better relationship, a healthier version of you. But you'll only find out if you keep going, even when it's scary. To you watching this right now, if you're standing at the edge of something new, unsure, shaking, scared, let me say this with all the humility in my heart. You are not alone. Everyone faces change. Some run from it. Others walk through it trembling. But those who embrace it, even with fear in their eyes, often discover strength they never knew they had. So if today feels hard, if you're caught between what you were and what you're becoming, keep going. This moment, this fear, it might just be the moment everything changes for the better. Have you ever made a small decision, something that seemed ordinary at the time, but later you realized it led you to a completely different place in life? Maybe it was a phone call you almost didn't make, a job interview you nearly skipped, a person you met while just going about your day, or even a word you chose to speak or not speak. You see, life isn't always shaped by loud, dramatic events. Most of the time, it is sculpted quietly by the little choices we make every single day. We often think that big changes come from big decisions, but the truth is, sometimes the biggest moments are born from the smallest choices. A moment of courage, a small yes or a brave no, a silent prayer, a decision to try again, even when you feel broken. And that's the thing, we rarely realize it while it's happening. We don't always see that one decision is gently pushing us onto a new path. But days, weeks, or even years later, we look back and say, that was the moment. That was when everything began to change. So, no decision is truly small. Every choice carries weight. Every decision is a seed, and in time, it grows. Now, let's talk about something we all face, change. Change can be scary, unpredictable, and even painful. Sometimes, life throws things at us that we didn't plan for, that we never asked for. Sudden loss, unexpected news, a closed door. In those moments, it feels like we've lost control. And yes, sometimes we don't choose a moment that breaks us. But here's something we often forget. We do choose how we respond. And in that choice lies our greatest power. That's where your strength truly lives. Not in controlling everything, but in how you carry yourself when you can't. You may not have chosen the heartbreak. You may not have chosen the failure. But you can choose whether you let it define you or refine you. You can choose grace instead of anger, hope instead of fear, growth instead of regret. It's not always easy, but the power of choice is not about always knowing what to do. It's about choosing to move forward, no matter what. And when you understand this, change becomes a little less frightening, because you realize that you still have a say in how your story unfolds. So the next time you're faced with a decision, big or small, remember this. Your choices matter. Your reactions matter. And even in your lowest moment, your power is never lost. It's simply waiting for your choice. Life isn't just what happens to us. It's also how we respond. And that response, that quiet moment of choice, could be the beginning of everything changing for the better. We often talk about the moment that changes everything. That phone call, that betrayal, that accident, that opportunity, that breakdown, or that breakthrough. And yes, those moments are powerful. They jolt us, shake us, and sometimes even break us. But what no one talks about enough is what happens after the moment. Because after the dust settles, after the tears dry, after the crowd stops clapping or the silence becomes louder than ever, life continues. But it continues differently. The truth is life doesn't return to normal. It creates a new normal. And that new normal depends on what we choose to do next. Once a defining moment has passed, you'll likely find yourself standing in unfamiliar territory. You may look around and not recognize the pieces left behind. You may feel like a stranger in your own story, and it's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel confused, numb, or even afraid. That's human. That's honest. That's real. But here's where the strength begins to rise. Not in pretending everything is okay, but in accepting that things have changed. Because pretending life didn't shift won't undo the moment. But embracing the fact that things are different, that's the first step toward healing. Here's the part no one can skip, the rebuilding. And truthfully, this is where the real work begins. Rebuilding isn't fast. Rebuilding isn't always pretty. Rebuilding isn't about putting things back exactly how they were. It's about building something new with the pieces that remain. Sometimes that means starting over with less. Sometimes it means starting over with more wisdom, more scars, and a deeper sense of what truly matters. And let's be clear, you don't have to have it all figured out. Rebuilding is not a race. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about taking small steps, one at a time, choosing to try again, choosing to trust life again, choosing to grow, even if the growth is silent, slow, or invisible to others. Some people get stuck trying to go back to how things were before the moment. But the hard truth is there's no going back. And maybe that's a gift in disguise. Because the person you were before, they didn't have the strength you're growing now. They didn't have the experience, the resilience, or the lessons this change has given you. So, instead of mourning who you were, maybe it's time to get to know who you're becoming. You can still miss the past and move forward at the same time. Both can be true. Eventually, there will come a day when you'll be able to look back, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You'll say, that moment, it changed me, but it didn't end me. It refined me. It taught me. It shaped me into someone stronger, wiser, and more grounded. The beauty of life is not just in what happens to us, but in how we respond. You may not have chosen the moment, but you can choose what you do with it. Will you use it to help others heal? Will you allow it to soften your heart, not harden it? Will you rise, not perfectly, but intentionally? Because in the end, the most powerful part of the story isn't the moment everything changed. It's what you chose to do after it. Remember, you are not what happened to you. You are what you do next. And that, my friend, is where the true power lives. We've talked about life-changing moments, those silent or loud shifts in our storylines. Sometimes they come without warning, like a storm we didn't see coming. Other times, they show up slowly, like the soft unfolding of a flower we didn't know was blooming inside us. But one thing is certain, these moments matter. They are not just events. They are turning points, moments that redefine us, reshape our values, or redirect our paths. Whether it was the loss of a loved one, the birth of a dream, a heartbreak, a breakthrough, or even a quiet decision to walk away from something that no longer served you, these moments hold power. They teach us who we really are when everything changes. They reveal the strength we didn't know we had. And most importantly, they push us to grow. So, here are a few things to hold on to. Recognize the moments that have changed your life, big or small. Don't overlook them. Reflect on what those moments taught you and how far they brought you. Respect the journey. Even if it was messy, painful, or confusing, it still shaped you. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What was your moment? The moment that changed everything? Maybe it was the day someone walked out. Maybe it was the day you walked into something new, a job, a relationship, a challenge, or a dream. Maybe it wasn't dramatic at all, just a quiet thought, a shift in mindset that led to a whole new life. And that was the moment everything changed. Life often throws unexpected twists our way, but it's how we face them that defines us. Remember, you are not alone in the process of change. We all have our stories. And by sharing them, we help each other grow, heal, and understand. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay open, Stay grounded and never underestimate the power of a single moment.